We got placed on a 60-day watch list.
No way.
Rolled up on us because they were AFP. Like, had the little fucking machine guns and stuff.
Well, like, what did you do to...
Fucking knock most people's socks off if they seen that shit, man.
What have you seen?
I've seen like probably like Skinwalker level shit.
What's Skinwalker?
One friend had like a key between his knuckles. He was like ready to fight. I was like, we had nothing with this. When the album was like set for distribution.
How long did it take?
About 3 years.
It took 3 years.
Yeah. You're really gonna like choose my $20 album or some fucking ramen so you can eat tonight? Fucking choose the ramen, legally download my shit. I don't care.
You're so deep into not just the musical side of it, but you're very deep into the visual.
Yeah.
Like, did you start off on that end?
Starting off on like just music first, then visual stuff.
Right.
And then because I was shooting visual stuff because I need like the people that I knew around me that shot visual stuff weren't. And since this is recording, I ain't trying to like badmouth anybody, but they weren't that good. But no, it was that necessity of like wanting to like up my game, and I knew that visuals were like a big part of like the music stuff. So I kind of had that necessity to where I needed to shoot stuff myself, and then I just kind of fell in love with it as well.
It's a completely different game.
It's different, but they're kind of similar in a way. Like they're similar because of just the way. First off, the people, like, although it's different fields, the people are similar, like as far as creatives and stuff like that, and thinking outside the box. The toxicity is there, like every field, you know, there's all kinds of similarities. I mean, I think you could like compare everything because the people are people, right? So
yeah, so like videographers are beefing.
No, like for the most part, no, everybody's cool. It's just like, you know, you have certain people like in any field. Like I'm sure you've got like a guy that just like hates you for no reason somewhere, and he's just like, nah, fuck Luca, like the fuck, like this shit is whack, you know what I'm saying? So it's it's a weird
human trait we have, like that need for comparison and that need to just constantly be competing with someone else.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, personally, I didn't feel that, especially when I stepped into the podcasting world.
Yeah.
Because I always saw it as like a platform built on collaboration.
Yeah.
The only way podcasts grow is when you've got an artist, or you've got an entertainer, or you've got a fighter, or you've got someone that someone is interested in and is willing to listen to for 2 hours speak. Like that's a hard thing to do, to be able to speak for 2 hours about something that you're very genuinely interested and passionate in.
Yeah.
And one of the most things I'm gracious about with this show is that I've been able to connect with people that do have something that they are passionate about. I mean, it's like, dude, I said as soon as you walked in, like you are dressed like amazingly, like
a vest on and everything too.
Yeah, man, repping the Mexican flag. I mean,
yes, sir.
Dripped, bro, dripped. And
only way. And
it's like, I don't know what it is about Aztec flow and the I don't know if I'd say the character or the image, but there's something about you, just right?
Me, yeah.
So there's something about you when I look at you and I go, I don't know what art he does, but whatever it is, I bet it's fucking good.
That's love, bro. I appreciate that. No, I appreciate that.
It's genuinely the truth, man. Your stuff is solid. I mean, you've just recently put out your album.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Man, that was took way too long, way longer than I expected.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I completed it. I got some crazy features on there, which I was super happy about, like Wi-Fi's Funeral and Curtis King and Big Skis, Chief Maez, like you know Maez. My boy Ata, that's my best friend. And yeah, no, I'm super like that. Yeah, that shit was like a journey. You feel me? Like doing like a whole album. I don't think people fully understand like the logistics for something like that. You know what I mean?
How long did it take?
About 3 years.
It took 3 years.
Yeah. And like so many unreleased songs that won't ever come out because they're ass. Like this shit, like never coming out. The songs that came out are the ones that came out. All the other ones, I like, you know, when the album was like set for distribution and it was ready to come, I was already cutting new demos, so I already got like a whole bunch of other songs lined up already.
Do you really have to sit and think about like the album in its entirety and like as a piece? Do you see it almost like a story that you're telling through each song and they're curated in a certain way? Or are you kind of just like, I'm going to give my best 10 songs onto this album? Like, how do you see that album creation process?
I think I would approach it like that now, like where I would like maybe theme it a bit better. But I think when I was doing that, I was just kind of like winging it. I'm not even going to cap. Like I was like doing something like that was like such a like the whole process from like figuring out PR and figuring out music videos to figuring out like everything, bro. Like it was just a whole winging process. I didn't even know what the fuck I was doing half the time.
Right.
I think that's all of us, to be honest.
It is very much like that, where you're kind of just. There's almost like this process, I feel like, when it comes to creativity, where you're kind of just tapping into something that's not you, like you're tapping into some kind of externality. I mean, David Pressfield describes it as, you know, summoning the muse, summoning inspiration. And so many times you think you've got inspiration or you think you've got something creative or a good idea. And as you start to like sit with it and develop it and let it cook, you kind of go, this is shit. Like, and being able to just constantly go back to the muse and ask for new inspiration and find new things and new ideas is such a skill of discipline. And the people that do it and do it well, we just look at that and go, holy shit, where did that come from?
I think music's like that too. I think everything's like that. I think we have like a kind of an idea of what we want to do, but then it ends up coming out like either it could come out exactly like how you envisioned or it could come out completely different. I think it's like that's part of like being a creative is like kind of just putting your trust in like almost like fate, like you know what I mean, and just like seeing what like the creation process, like as any other creators will like agree with me, is just like messy.
Yeah,
it's like unhinged. You don't know what the hell's going on half the time, like, and that's why like when you see some creators like out there, like whether it's a rapper or something, you're like, damn, he looks like he's really put it together. He's got like photographers and shit. Bro, I guarantee you that guy probably counselors every day, fucking shrinks and all kinds of shit, like to deal with the stress that like I feel bad for them. Like once you start like diving a bit more deeper in the music industry, I think like me and some of my homies have had conversations about that. Like when you actually start getting into the music industry and lawyers and contracts and like meetings and then admin work and all that shit starts creeping into it, and you're like, fuck, like this shit isn't as fun. Like, you know what I mean? Like
shit whack.
Yeah, it's like, fuck, like it's all part of it, and you realize that like, you know, a job's a job at the end of the day, and like, you know, the creation part is still going to be there, but if you really want to take that shit serious, like it's like everything. There's this stuff that you don't want to do, but you got to do, and that's because you love what you're doing, right? So you do that shit.
Yeah, you know? I think like in a perfect world for an artist, you want every other aspect of the game almost automated. So like you want your money automated, you want your tours automated, you want your management automated, you want your family life automated, you want everything as stress-free as possible so that you can just spend as much time creating as possible. That's not the real world.
Yeah.
That's not how shit works.
And like even right now, like I think that I have shit figured out, and I guarantee you in a year I'm gonna look back at this and I'll be like, man, I really didn't know shit. Because like it's just how it goes. Like, and I'm sure that you feel the same way with like as you evolve, you just get better and better, and yeah, like you just learn stuff. You adapt. You get, you know, you yourself changes, and yeah, like that's the process of everything.
What's your way of finding a good collaboration? Like,
finding good collaboration?
Yeah. Like, because that was one of the things that was most impressive about this album, was that you you had really high quality collabs and
thank
feature
you.
artists. And every single one of those artists I went into and go, okay, like what kind of music are they putting out?
Yeah.
And then it becomes like this whole like mini-verse of people that was
Rabbit
introduced just
hole.
by that album. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome. So how do you pick the right people? Do you start with the beat? Do you go, okay, like I'm going to make a beat for this person that I really respect and do a collaboration? Like how do you do it?
It's all like different. Like especially like as looking at it from like a producer standpoint, like whenever I've produced for people like and other artists, like there's no like set format that I can like fall back on. Like, you know, like I'm sure like you as an interviewer, there's no like set questions that you can ask everybody because it's tailored. Like, you know what I mean? It's impossible. So I have an artist that will come in and he has a certain way of doing things, and it's like you got to feel him out and things like that. And the same thing with collaboration. You know, you don't know what you're gonna really make or how it's gonna come about. Like I could start with the beat, or we could just sit in the studio and cook up. Or yeah, it's about like I think just whatever just works for everybody. You know, for Wi-Fi in this case, like Wi-Fi's funeral, like I had like 24 hours to kind of like send him something because the opportunity came up. I'm like, sweet, like I didn't have a beat, nothing. Like I was like, opportunity came up. I'm like, bro, like this is like XXL freshman, like 2018. Like at that time, like he just dropped an album, Coil Rays on it, and I'm like, man, I can't be lacking. So I just like stayed up late, like making beats that whole night, and I just kept him in mind, came up with a beat, recorded that night, and then shot it off to him. And then heard back the next day that he was like, all right, cool. Like we're in Nevada right now. We're going to like record it maybe Wednesday. And I think it was like Sunday at that time. And yeah, and then Wi-Fi sent me a couple messages on Twitter and was just like, bro, like, you know, we're in Nevada. We're about to record it. What did he ask me? I don't even remember what he asked me. He asked me for something. I think he asked me to contact his manager or some shit. And yeah, contacted his manager and then sorted all that shit out, and then got it within like the month. Like had to sort out contracts and shit like that. And that's always a interesting thing, you know?
Yeah.
So always new to me.
And the fact that you can turn over a beat and a song essentially within 24 hours is like insane. Like you say that so casually, like, yeah, and then I just recorded it and produced it. And
you'll be surprised how many songs come out like that.
Really?
Yeah. Like sometimes you can have just really like, you could just be in a zone. You could make a full complete song in like a couple hours, and that could be like literally the recording that makes it.
Do you do something specific to get yourself in that, like that zone?
The zone? Not really. I think I've become natural to it now. Like before I used to do all this like Scorsese acting shit, like where I was just like think about what I'm feeling and shit like that, and then I'll try and get like, but now I just like I look at it as a producer, like more so where I'm just about like what the song is calling for vocally. So it could be like like for the Burbs, for instance, like the beginning of that, like I think I recorded that take like 120 times. And it was because I was like, after specific vocal, I was really trying to, like, I was screaming, like yelling, like it doesn't sound like it, but I was trying to break my voice to where it sounded like I was like so frustrated and shit. Cause that was the theme of the song, was like in the suburbs, and like, you know, they don't like ethnic people in the burbs. That's why it's called the burbs. You know, they don't like ethnic people in the burbs coming up and then like thinking that we're gonna change some shit, like devalue the neighborhood or some shit. And yeah, like that's why I was just like really trying to like come with like this crazy energy from the beginning, and that's how that one came out. You know,
yeah. And you really like, there is something about that song where it's almost like I'm on the come up and you guys don't fucking respect me, but you go and see.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people like feel that.
Yeah.
Like they can't really put it into words that, well, definitely not in the manner that you can, but you really captured that feeling of like the underdog story.
Yeah.
Have you felt like an underdog?
you know, I haven't really like thought about it so much. I have had moments where like, I think we all can relate to these moments where like you might be driving in the car and it's like, and you think that you're in like a movie scene and you're just like driving along and you're just like, yeah, this could be a movie scene in my biopic, you know, or some shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like everybody's like got those moments sometimes because we can be so full of ourselves. But that's why I appreciate the word sonder and like that, which is like, you know, you see like an old lady or something, you just wonder about their life and, you know, you kind of put yourself in somebody else's shoes and try not to really like get a full head. Because I can tell you right now, like when you're in like these kind of spaces and you got so many people around you telling you like you're the one, people from back in the day telling you you're on the come up, you're the one, like this is gonna, like you're the guy, you know, you get like that shit goes to your head and you can start believing like you're God and shit, like if you're not careful, you know what I mean? Yeah, like when you hear it all the time, you're like, maybe I am, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, it can be dangerous, like especially for your mentality, because then you alienate people around you, because you know, like people don't want to be around people that's so full of themselves, you know what I mean?
So when you see an artist like, let's say Kanye West, for example, right? When you see an artist who literally has a song called "I Am a God," how do you receive
I love Kanye,
that?
by the way.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah,
so do I. But how do you ingest that? How do you internalize that?
I think it depends, because like art, if like obviously like the statements are so much more like, you know what I mean? Like that's a statement. It's not like a song that can be interpreted many different ways. You know what I mean? Like I don't really like take songs as what people like saying them as like what they're saying, because they only know what they meant. You know what I mean? It's not about like what, even though like it is for the viewer to like, what's the word? Interpret, even though it is for the viewer to interpret like music in their own way. Like we don't really know 100%. There's be people that interpreted the Burbs completely different. They thought I meant like that we're going into the Burbs and turning it up and like going and sleeping with people's bitches and shit. And I was like that, like I was saying, like I said, like, you know, what did I say? I said, you know, get with your daughter or some shit like that. But like that was like that's what they insinuate. Like we come into like the neighborhood and we're just trying to get with their daughters and shit. You know what I mean? Like it's not like we're like, it's not that kind of song. It's like, it's a hard track and you turn up to it because the song is meant to be played in the Burbs and it's like going around the neighborhood, fuck you to everybody. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. It's just a big fuck you to everybody. You know what I mean? But I think it comes down to like what they meant. You know what I mean? Because like obviously people interpret it this way, so then what? Everybody's gonna think that like that's who I am, like going around fucking everybody. You know what I mean? Fucking everybody's bitches and shit, which is not the case. Yeah, I got a girl, so I'm not fucking everybody's bitches. No way.
It's like this is an artistic expression. It's not verbatim what I believe and what I'm gonna do. Yeah. But it's still not as bold as I am a god. Yeah,
no, exactly. And I think I'd have to re-listen to that. Yeah, and really like try and understand. But for the most part, you know, I'm a bit biased because, you know, I'm a fan of Kanye. You know what I mean? Like especially his production and stuff like that.
I don't think you can listen to Kanye West and not, at the very least, appreciate what he's doing with music, because he twists it and turns it and changes it and is so bold in his expression of himself that you have to pay attention. Yeah. I mean, there's a freestyle that came out recently with Lil Spaz. I can't remember what it was called. Could you find it, Sion? Kanye West, Lil Spaz. It should be on YouTube. It's the Kanye West freestyle, the one I played for you the other day. We'll get the name in a second.
Is it the AI one?
Is it AI? Don't tell me that.
It might be.
Oh no!
If this is the one that I'm thinking of.
Bastards! If they got me,
it might have.
Yeah, First Day Out freestyle part 2.
Yeah, it might be the AI one. Yep, that's the AI one. They got you.
They're good, huh? Yeah. You can turn it off. It's all right.
There's a new Travis Scott and 21 one that just came out as well. I can't remember what it's called, but it's by this like producer called Ghost or something, and that sounds really good. Like it sounds like damn near like Travis and 21 on the song, and the song itself sounds really good.
Does it freak you out?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It could be like, I kind of like am mad that I'm like, damn, how is this not an actual release? Because it sounds actually really good. You know what I mean? But I don't know. AI be getting scary. I know that you and King talked about that a little bit with AI with music. So it can be scary.
It's such an interesting space, man. It's particularly because I think we all expected it to kind of just replace like receptionists and truck drivers and that
here it is replacing rappers. You know what I mean? The lowest form of society. You know what I'm saying?
That is not true at all. I think rappers are the most influential people on planet Earth.
They can be. I mean, look, you're talking to a rapper. I can appreciate the fact that like we're not keeping the fucking planet. You know, like we're not like helping the planet. We're just up here like just doing whatever. You know.
But I think it is a particularly like the A-list, you know, ingrained in culture rappers like the Tupacs and the Biggies and the Kendricks and the Kanyes and everyone else in between. I think the government does generally get concerned about it sometimes, in the sense that, listen, if there is going to be a revolution, like if there is going to be, you know, some kind of overturn of government or something wild, right? Like, let's go full World War III, invade the capital, but like 10,000 times bigger. If there is going to be something like that, they're going to have a hectic playlist for it as well. They're going to have the best playlist for it.
I'm going to say something. I don't know whether we'll keep it in the cut, but I'm going to say it anyway. But I've already faced my own like censorship with stuff like that. So I like everything that you're saying, like that's why I was smiling, because I was like, oh no, I've already like had forms of that in some cases. Really? Like I think one of the, like, this is kind of going out of like the censorship stuff, but it's going a bit more into like just, I don't even know what box to put this in, but who's shooting a music video in Canberra, and we stopped by the airport, we're eating food, and it had been raining that day. I talked about this on another interview, but yeah, the thing that I didn't say that happened after it, like where the cops came and harassed us and told us blah blah blah, this and that, we got placed on a 60-day watch list.
Whoa.
Yeah, 60-day watch list.
What's the day? Like, what did you do to?
They were saying that. All right, so let me paint the picture. So it's me, my other friends. You got my boy Atza, he's Turkish. My boy Kato, and he's Iraqi. My two other friends, one's African descent, and one's, I think, like Indian Pakistani. One of those. I'm not trying to assume. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway,
and then a Mexican,
huh?
And then a Mexican,
and then
as well.
Yeah, and then me, and yeah, this ginger cop comes up. At first, there was like, we thought it might be alright. There was this one cop that started coming up. Yeah, wait, that was a mad American accent, but he was just like, "Are y'all shooting a hip hop video?" Like, just picture an Australian accent. I'm terrible with the. I can't fucking do it, man.
Please keep
but
going.
yeah, like. So they was just like, "Are you shooting a rap video, a hip hop video?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then this ginger cop came up and was just like really like, he must have had like a bad day or something, because like he came up like, "You're the director, you're the artist, you know, ask for ID," and because my ID was expired, like it's just a photo ID, and he was like saying like, "Oh yeah, so you're driving without a license," and I was like, "I'm driving. I wasn't fucking driving." He was like trying to get me on some shit, and he went and asked, trying to like fish for stuff, trying to get me on some shit, trying to like, I think he was trying to arrest me,
right? And
yeah, then he eventually gave up, but then I got a thing later saying that I was placed on a 60-day watch list.
Wow.
Like straight after that interaction, like the cop was like, we got a move on notice and we weren't allowed to like be in the area, otherwise we would get arrested. If we came back, we'd be arrested. And
for not breaking any laws.
we're just standing there, like I was setting up a camera, and I think he was assuming that I was gonna be shooting there, but it was raining, so we're setting up for the next spot. It had stopped raining, so I was like, all right, cool, like set up the camera like while we're waiting, because we had got lost, and we just pulled over wherever it was.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and we're trying to pull up the next spot, set up the camera, go to the next spot, and while we're there, the cop, feds rolled up on us because they were AFP.
No way.
Yeah, they were AFP.
You missed that detail.
Huh?
You missed that detail.
Yeah, well, they were AFP, and they like had their little fucking machine guns and stuff, and
That's insane.
yeah. All for what?
And they had to get the Mexican, huh?
Huh?
They had to get the Mexican. They had to go after you. They're like, oh yeah, he's
Yeah, El Chapo's son or something. What kind of rap you prefer? Like who are your like
pretty
top?
broad, man. I'm
Pretty broad?
Yeah.
Who's your top right now?
That's always gonna be Cole.
It's flipping now. I'm interviewing you.
Yeah. No, it's always Cole.
Cole?
It's always
Nice.
Cole. Yeah.
Charmaine.
I can't find an album of his that I don't like. Everything speaks to me at different points in life.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite producer? Me. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, exactly.
How bold of me.
No, I can't say I have a favorite producer. It's more so I like when the right producer meets the right artist. I think that's... Oh, do you consider Kanye a producer?
Yeah.
Well, then Kanye.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
In my opinion, he's the best producer that's ever existed ever.
Right. I would, 100%. I would think Kanye's a producer. But I think one of the best two duos is 21 and Metro.
Oh, for sure.
They're like that shit crazy, some of the music that they do.
Yeah. But only Kanye West could make me listen to church music. Only Kanye West. That whole album was just like so hard.
Yeah.
And he turned something that was completely skewed away from rap culture in general. Like religion's not something rap talks about a fair bit.
Unless you go down the rabbit hole of Christian rap, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, look, I ain't got time for that, man. Like, it's cool. It is what it
Tom
is.
McDonald's and them things, I don't know. Not my cup of tea.
Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, if you're gonna try and make Christianity cool in the 21st century, that's one
some
way
of them
to do
go
it.
hard. There's a couple of rappers that I heard here and there that like, like drill and stuff. I'm like, damn, it's actually kind of drill Christian rap.
Drill.
Yeah, it kind of goes crazy. Some of it, some of it's a bit iffy. But,
yeah, I imagine a lot of it. I mean, it's just the culture of drill is so, like, it's completely different. It's about stabbings and murders and blocks and shit like that. And then we're going to go to, no sex till marriage.
The ones that I heard that's kind of wild is like over drill rap. It's just like hearing like Jesus is king and things like that, which is wild. It's just like you hear the drill percussion.
There is like, do you consider yourself religious? Like, are you a religious person?
I think of me as like a spiritual person,
right?
Because I call myself wandering soul a lot of the time because I don't really know what I believe 100%. I kind of like have things that like I like to believe. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like growing up in Christian Catholic households, I've got like that. Like I got Virgin Mary statues like all around my house, But then on the other hand, like my mom is like super into like Buddhism and stuff.
Cool.
So like she's got like that stuff that's been intertwined. But then on top of that, growing up around Muslims, I was like, all right, now I don't eat pork, swine, whatsoever.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, no.
Is that something you stick to today?
Yeah.
Wow.
Haven't eaten pork, swine for 3 years, maybe 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. Just health benefits and actually I actually felt better cutting it out because like some of my friends were telling me about how high in like what is it, sodium it is. Sure. Yeah, like the salt content in pork and stuff. Like pigs don't sweat, so you're essentially eating their toxins and things like that. So I mostly keep it out. And like nowadays, like there was one time where my one of my friends, he was giving me something, and like, oh no, we traded something, and I didn't know it had pork in it. I ate it, and I knew straight away, and it made me sick. Right. It actually made me sick because like the smell makes me sick. It's everything. Like being off it for long enough, I'm like,
yeah. I think anything becomes like that.
Yeah,
I think if you cut something out of your diet completely for a long enough period of time, your body just gets accustomed to not having it.
Yeah,
and then when you surprise it with it again, it's kind of like, what the fuck do I do with this?
I've heard that our taste palettes actually change every 7 years. I think so. That's why, like, you know, what we used to eat when we were younger, we don't like now because it's like shit or something. Supposedly, I don't know. Fact check that. I don't know.
No one's fact checking this show, bro.
Just let's start busting out conspiracy theories, and we'll get a whole like fan base off it.
100%. I mean, what even is a conspiracy theory? Like these days,
a conspiracy theory. What is a conspiracy?
Well, like these days, I mean, it feels like they're a bit more right than wrong.
I think the wildest one still to me is like that the moon is fake and that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, look, there's a deep end. There's a deep end, and that deep end is just called like schizophrenia. Like there's just the moon's not real.
You'll be surprised, like the videos that I've seen, I'm just like, damn, they really think that the moon's a hologram. For what? Like why do they, and then what, they're faking the moon tide, like shit? Like, cause like that's what the tide's affected by the moon, right? That's the reason why.
But also, like, what did they do before holograms? I mean, there have been depictions of the moon
exactly
tens of thousands of years.
That's why I think half of these guys are probably crack addicts.
Yeah,
you know, and probably got nothing going on.
I bet a lot of it's trolling as well.
Yeah, 100%. I
bet
agree.
A lot of it's like, hey, I bet you I can get people to believe the moon's not real.
Yeah,
shut the fuck up, dude. Watch me.
Yeah.
And then like 6 years later, Greg has committed his entire life to trying to find the projectile that's keeping the moon up.
Yeah. The conspiracy theories can be wild. Yeah. I don't really know much conspiracy theories. I try to stay out of it because I'm like, my name's Paul and that's between y'all.
You've already been censored. You're like, I ain't need more of that.
Yeah, that. But then like, yeah, and there's been other stuff that's like going on like behind the scenes that like I don't really want to talk about, but like, yeah, like it sucks. Like, you know, that's why I'm trying to get up. So then like when I'm up, I can be just like Kanye, just say whatever, and then everybody just listens. Like Kanye said some wild shit that I don't stand behind, but like, you know, there's been some facts that he said here and there, like, you know, like in his earlier days, not the. Cut this part. I don't want none of
this whole podcast is you know what, Kanye had a point, man.
No way. I'm not pissing off no communities.
I get it. It's tricky, particularly in your position in your industry, because it is so gatekept, and it is. It is so the contacts you have and the people that you can network with, and that's the game that you're playing. So you don't have to toe a safe line. I'm just very fortunately in a position where, like, you know, it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't have a boss. I don't have anyone telling me I can or can't do the thing that I want to do. And I think that's kind of a weird constraint that the music industry does have. And that's why voices that are outspoken and are independent and are completely free of any commercial chains are some of the most important voices we'll ever get. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're right or wrong, but just the fact that they have a platform and are able to do that. And I think there's a yearning for that. I think the public right now really are looking for people that just keep it 100, that just keep it authentic and real. So when you are creating music, when you are creating a new piece of art that you're expressing with the world, do you feel like they're getting like an honest, authentic, integral part of you?
I mean, I think to a certain degree, because like you can only know somebody through their music so much. Like you can't listen to a Drake song and feel like you could go up to Drake in the club and be like, yo, Aubrey, like as if like I knew him back in the day kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? So, and there's definitely people out there that have that mindset. Like they like, I bought your last album, you owe me some shit or something. You know what I mean? Like, there's some crazy people out there that like really think some wild shit, like, and expectations of people. I think as well, like, the more that I've worked with people of like higher status, like in the music industry, I've kind of like come to like understand that they're like people. Like, first and foremost, like, because like it's so easy, like when you look at like tabloids and stuff of like other people, you're like, they throw everything bad about them in there, and then like we sit back and we're like judging them, and then like if there was tabloids in our house exposing every little nook and cranny, man, everybody's got skeletons.
For sure. So
like the people that judge all these people that have their life constantly being publicized, like, probably should look at their own life and put themselves in that.
The problem is it's an industry. The problem is that sensationalism in journalism it sells. People love to gossip. People love to talk about like the latest thing, and we choose those lives to speculate upon because they're the most interesting to us. Yeah. Because it's like, wow, this person has the millions of dollars and the fame and the beautiful wife and the nice cars and gets the accolades and trophies. What's going on over there? Yeah. And it's a weird human trait that we have, and I've definitely tried to distance myself from that, especially these last couple of months. The reason I spoke about religion before was because I was, going through a bit of a tougher period.
You find God?
Yeah. And for the last, he's alright.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
He's alright.
Yeah,
just kicking it.
It's a good hang.
Yeah.
No, I just think I've always kind of opened myself up to like spirituality. And
have you tried Yeska or whatever?
Ayahuasca?
Yeah, yeah.
I will.
One of my friends was telling me about that recently. She was like, "Oh man, you got to try that." And I was like, "Look, I was just like sick recently, and I had this crazy fever dream where I like met my ancestors and shit. And I'm like, man, like if I can do that, just do a fever dream. Nah, I don't want to try that and then meet some crazy shit like moon people or something. Yeah. Like I don't know what I would see. I feel like I'd trip hard, and like I don't know what I would see. So plus I think I have a pretty like. There's been moments of my life I've had some like real like dark shit happen to me, and like some real heavy shit to where like the only person I felt like was there was something like up there. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel like, although I was alone, I didn't feel like 100% alone, you know? And yeah, like plus some of the shit that I've seen, man, some spiritual shit, bro. Like fucking knock most people's socks off if they seen that shit, man.
What have you seen?
I've seen like fucking weird shit, bro. Like I mean, when I was a kid, like this one is like soft. This one's like mild compared. But when I was a kid, like my abuela would like run these like dancing courses or dancing things, and like there'd be old people that'd be dancing and stuff, and then like me and my sister would like run around and like play hide and seek, and I'd dress up as like a little cop and like try and beat her, like like as if like I was like a. And we were kids, like we were just playing like cops and robbers and things like that. You know what I mean? Not actually like beating.
Yeah, you were beating the shit out of her.
Yeah, because people take that out of context and be like, "Whoa, that's a bit heavy." That's why I like sometimes I might need some cue cards because I be just saying stuff and people don't understand. You know. But yeah, I was like, we're playing hide and go seek, and I was running through like the hallway of like where my grandma ran her like dancing things. I was running down the hallway, and like this hand comes out from like the wall, and I run through it. I'm like, what the fuck was that?
A hand came out.
A hand, like it was a ghost hand.
Shit.
And I look back, and it's just wall, right, on both sides because it's corridor, and like there's just brick on either side. I was like, where the fuck did that come from? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that shit. Like I got no explanation for that.
Sorry, give me 1 sec. Sian, can you just close the curtain behind you? And everything's rolling in? Alright, cool. Serge is in charge. Adios. Have fun.
He's been promoted. Chief Inspector.
Gang.
You just came here to hang out and you're already fucking working, dog. Hey, typical Latino shit, bro. Like,
Yeah, and we're on family rates here, man. So,
Yeah.
you know, enjoy the water.
Yeah, enjoy the fucking elote that you get later. Enjoy the beans that you get later.
That has to be. I don't want to cut the flow of your story there. So
Yeah.
a hand comes out and reaches through you.
Yeah. Oh well, no, it doesn't reach. It just like comes out like that.
Yeah.
Like where like as if like it's trying to stop me or something. And then like I just run through it, and it was like I was like, what the fuck? And I went and told my grandma, and she was like, well, you shouldn't be running. Like she somehow turned it into like a thing of like
Discipline.
that I was like a bad kid. Like you know what it is with grandmas. It's just like, well, you shouldn't have been running. Yeah. It's like, what? There's a ghost hand that come out. What do you mean it shouldn't be running? Like, don't you want to know about the ghost hand? She's like, shouldn't have been running. But yeah, like that, like I had that happen to me. There was one time like when we were on a video shoot and like, we're at like this abandoned train station and we're setting up lighting and stuff. And I'm coming around from like the platform of the abandoned train station and coming around the corner. And I like feel like get this sense like something's watching me. I look back and there's like this like figure that's like leaning out from like the brick wall, like looking behind, and it's like pitch black, and it's like this figure's like darker than the black, and like it had no eyes, but I could feel it like watching me. No, it was like just looked like a person, like it looked like a outcropping of a person. Yeah, and then like when I was looking at it. I don't know whether it was like my eyes that was playing tricks on me, but it looked like it was like moving towards me, like through the wall. And I was like, oh, fuck that. And I just like booked it. I went around the corner to my friends and my friends was just like, all right. And they got up and they thought it was like a person or something, like somebody that was trying to fuck with us. And yeah, they just like, one friend had like a key between his knuckles. He was like ready to, this was like, we had nothing with this. One of my friends.
That's how you know those boys are ride or die.
One of my friends like took the light off the stand and was like ready to like, you know what I mean?
And they're like, hunting a ghost.
Yeah. Like,
they should have got vacuum
cleaners.
Well,
they thought it might've been a person.
Right.
And then I was describing it and then we couldn't find anybody around. It was abandoned train station, nobody around. And yeah, like then we were just like, maybe it's a ghost or some shit.
Could be ghost.
Yeah. But, the weirdest shit that I've ever had happen to me, like, is probably like skinwalker level shit. Like where, like that's probably like some of the creepiest shit that you can have happen to you. Cause like,
what's skinwalker?
The skinwalkers, like, from my understanding, how I've been told is they used to be like witch doctors or some shit. Like, and they like turned bad or something. I don't really know much about them, but they're basically like shapeshifters or something. And they like if they have like the DNA of the animal or something, or they can like take people's voices so they can like copy them and mimic them, and they can copy animals and stuff like that if they got the DNA or some shit. I don't know. I don't know the logistics of the stories.
But you've had an experience?
I've had experiences that I've told, and then my grandma is just like skinwalker, and I'm like, oh, I get taken to get blessed and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because basically, like what my grandma would tell me is like somebody's trying to harm the family or something. I don't really know much about it, but
you play it safe and sorry.
Yeah, like I don't question it. My grandma beat my ass. I'm 26 now. She still beat my ass, even though she's shorter than me, wrinkly. She'll beat my ass. Get that chancla, dog. Like, be careful. You know what I'm saying? So like, you don't play with grandmas. They know how to throw a chancla. No. But yeah, like the first interaction that I had with one was like when I was like moving out of one of my houses, and we were like packing up shit, and like my girlfriend was like packing up shit, and then she was like, I'm gonna be right back, and I thought she was like just leaving to go to another room. She leaves to like what I think is leaving to another room, and then I hear her calling my name, and then I'm like, what? She doesn't answer, and then like I go back to doing what I'm doing, and then I hear her call my name again, and then I'm just like, what the fuck do you want? Like, you're calling me and like you're not saying nothing. I go out, I look through the whole house for her, she's not there, and then I go outside and she's like sitting in the car, and she's like oh no, she was packing something in the car. She's like, I've been out here the whole time. I haven't been calling you.
Right.
And I was like, what
That's
the fuck?
free.
I talked to one of my Navajo friends, and he said like, oh, they would like try and take your like soul or something. And I was like, fuck, like, I don't know whether that cunt was just trying to scare me or something, but like that shit like gave me the goosebumps when I heard that. But the next one that I had was like probably like pretty more definitive, because the other ones like people gonna be like, oh yeah, like you didn't see it. It could have been like your girlfriend playing.
They're professional skeptics for sure.
Yeah, and that's cool. Like, you know, I like to think of things logically, but the shit, man, there's some shit that I've seen that I can't explain, and like, you know what I'm saying? But this time, like, I'm on my grandparents' farm, and we're like, and like, cause my grandparents had a little farm, blah, blah, blah. And I used to be able to like drive a car out there. Like, I still don't have a license, so you're allowed to drive cars like on properties that you own. And I was like driving, and it was like nighttime, and yeah, I come across like this bush, and like I see like these red eyes from the bush, and I was like, oh, it's like an animal or something, because it looked like animal eyes, but they're like really red. And then like from out the bush comes like this like red fox, like, you know, in Australia we got red foxes.
Yeah.
Comes from like the red fox. And then I'm like, oh, it's just a fox, and I'm just watching him, and then it like gets on its hind legs and walks away, and I'm like, the fuck did I just see? Like getting on its hind legs and walking away, like
That's
the fuck is that? And I talked because my girlfriend, she's Aboriginal, her father's an elder, and I was like, have you guys got like the skinwalker shit too? And I forget the name that they call it, but it's like some other name for skinwalker.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, it's very similar, like the shape shifting thing or something like that.
It's interesting how like these stories and these expressions of like spirits and stuff don't just seem to be like a thing of today, but it's like really rooted in like ancient history.
Yeah.
Like you hear about like the rituals and just the crazy stuff that they're doing in like Peru or in like
what are they doing
Amazon.
in Peru?
I mean, it's all essentially the extended Amazon, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, they have, just on the medical front, they have like leaves and like remedies for funguses that would kill like either one of us. And they have like, because there are people that go and visit these like very ancient tribes, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them still exist today, never been contacted by humans before, and there are some that are kind of like in this hybrid state where they will be kind of had like some interactions with civilization, but not much.
Yeah.
And the deeper you go into the Amazon, the darker it gets. And it gets really scary sometimes.
That's where I'd be staying the fuck away from there.
Yeah, and that's where you go to do ayahuasca.
Yeah, well, apparently there's places in Australia to do it.
Oh, really?
Because my friend, she's Ecuadorian. She found a place like that does it in Australia. And
I might have to talk to your Ecuadorian friend.
Yeah, and she was like telling me like, yeah, you should come with me. I'm like, fuck, like, I don't know what. Like after the shit that I seen, and I'm clear-minded. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, Chief. That's not something that.
Yeah, like, I don't want to see no skin creepers.
Yeah, no, I don't want to. I don't know. I already tested my limits with that shit.
Yeah,
skin creepers. You call it.
It does speak to like a very cultural thing though.
Yeah,
as well. Like I know
meet God and stuff.
Yeah, I know in Mexico, like there is definitely a very strong connection with the afterlife and death, and there's obviously Dia de la Muerte, which everyone's like knows through Coco or whatever. And it's very like there are a lot of superstitions in that culture, and you kind of see that like internationally across the world. And I think a bit of that does reflect in like the way you express yourself in your music and your creativity. But I've also noticed that you have a very strong affection for Japanese culture, and I'm very curious about that.
It's just dope. Like, I mean, like honestly, like the samurai like have such a beautiful, like I think it's Shintoism, like such a beautiful way of life, to where like they're under like. From my understanding, from the stuff that I've read, like with Minamoto Maishi, stuff like that. Like their understanding is like some, not all of them, but some of like the samurai, I think, or some of like the peasant folk and stuff, they believe that like everything had a spirit, like the wood and the sea, the lake, and it's like a beautiful kind of way of looking at everything, that everything has energy and that we're all part of like something, like, you know what I mean?
Or one expression of the universe at the same time, experiencing itself over and over again for eternity. Yeah,
like everything has got like a spirit and shit. I don't know, it's just powerful. But also Minamoto Maishi is like got some fucking cool ass stories. I think he's like 60 duels or something like that like he did over his life.
Fierce warrior.
Yeah, like it was a actual, like I think he was known as a Ronin, which is like they were samurai, but they don't live by the samurai way, where
they're angry samurais.
Yeah, something like that. I don't really know 100% much about it, but I've read a little bit and like watched a bit of stuff, and like there's a lot of stuff that like appeals to me in just that shit. Like it's beautiful, like, you know, just the way that some of them live. No, you straight. It's just beautiful how some of them like live. You know what I mean?
In medieval times, the Ronin were depicted as the shadows of samurai, masterless and less honorable. It then came to be used for a samurai who had no master.
Yeah.
Right. So a bit rogue, which kind of makes him cooler.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he just wandered around and just dueled people.
Yeah.
So just like 60 battles, that's 60 people that he killed, you know, and I think it was 60.
And that's hand-to-hand combat with like
swords. Yeah.
Like that is got to be such a brutal way to fight. Like my long stick hits your long stick until one of our heads comes off.
Yeah.
Dude, like I have so much respect for the Japanese way of fighting. I've recently got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And the technique that it takes to get good at that game makes you look at the sport so differently. It is so... everything from elbow placement to the way your hips are shaped to your flexibility, it all counts. And one of the most interesting things for me about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is actually started in Japan. It started in Japan as a form of the samurais to fight each other when they weren't on horseback. I believe it might not have been the samurai. And so they focused a lot on like wrist control and,
that's cool.
And just being on top of each other and being able to fight like that. And one day, a shipping vessel that was going between Japan and the United States got shipwrecked at Brazil. And on board of that shipwreck was a Japanese samurai. So he goes and moves over to Brazil, stays there for some time, and while he's there, he starts teaching jiu-jitsu. And one of the earliest students of that samurai was a Gracie. And I don't know how much you follow MMA, but the Gracies are considered like the most important family in mixed martial arts, in particular with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then it just expanded from there and had this whole lineage of legends in the sport, and they'd all walk. Like there are some walkouts. I remember when Rickson Gracie won his first ever mixed martial arts competition in the UFC and became the first ever UFC champion. He came out with all the Gracies and then kind of walk in a train like that. And it was just like 20 of them, and they were all killers, and they would all find ways to strangle you.
That's crazy.
And that stems from Japanese influence. And I don't think people recognize that. I don't think people recognize the fact that the Japanese were such a culture of respect and honor, but also violence.
I think that's the beautiful thing about them too, is like their perfectionism, like especially with their swords and stuff. Like I think I read something about like that they would wake up every morning and practice perfection, like in everything that they do, from like the way that they live. It's like they just practice perfection, like perfecting everything that they do throughout the day, which is amazing. Like it's such a I don't know, it's such a it's a beautiful thing, kind of like, you know, looking now, just to, you know, like even just getting here, you just see cunts just walking around with flip-flops and stuff, and just get off the fucking road and shit. You know what I mean? And
you guys filming a hip hop video?
Yeah, shit like that. And then back in the day, like there was arigato and you know what I mean? Like, it's like shit like that. Like, I don't know, man. It's like crazy how different the worlds are.
Well, it obviously influenced you a fair bit because the title of your album actually stems from a Japanese saying. So do you want to go into that a bit?
So it comes from the wake from death and return to life, which is like the Japanese proverb. But I like it because of the deep meaning behind it. And I think like that's one of my favorite things is like proverbs from like Korea and Japan, stuff that like makes you like question stuff, like you question your like your own thought process and who you are as a person and things like that. Like questions that don't even have answers sometimes. Like it's like the question like that they have is like, what does a tree sound like when what does a tree sound like when it's crashing when nobody's around? There's nobody around to hear the sound. How do you like? What does
how do you know the
like?
sound even happened?
Or like, what does it sound to hear like a one hand clapping or some shit like that? It's like questions like that, like to provoke deep thought. And wake from death and return to life is like a proverb that's like meant to be interpreted based on like the listener, the viewer, or like the reader. And I interpreted it as this like, you know, facing some of the worst shit possible and finding the light within it, like seeing the positives in it, which can be hard sometimes, like looking in the mirror kind of thing. It's like, damn, like I've had it tough, but fuck, like I'm here because of it. You know, everything that I've faced is because of, you know, it
definitely speaks to that burning human desire to survive and to find new ways out of tough situations. Do you feel like you've adopted that over time? Do you feel like you've modeled your philosophy around that because of hard times you have been through? Like, why do you think that one resonated with you so much?
I think it's because like when I was trying to find like something that represented the mess that was my album, which most people like, you know, I got friends and there's critics and stuff that have said like it's like they literally think that I've just like thought it out and like, you know, had this whole thing like planned, and it's just like I just went with it sonically and I just did what I did. Like I just put myself in there and, you know, and I think that best represented what it was, which was like a mess, which is like my life, you know, and everybody's life is like a fucking mess. Like nothing makes sense until like you get over it, and then you're like, oh wait, actually, you know, like, and yeah, like everything is so chaotic and you can't make plans half the time. Like, you know, you make plans all the time, but like there's always shit that happens, you feel me?
Yeah.
So I think that is the reason why I chose something like that, is because it's just like was just such a mess.
Yeah,
you know?
It's interesting you spoke about proverbs, because like I don't want to come across as like a Bible basher or anything like that. That's definitely not my flavor at all. And you know, like quotes are quotes, but I was listening. Like the whole reason I fell back into religion and you know, exploring Christianity again. I wouldn't necessarily say married to it, but at least exploring it was because of the book of Proverbs. Like it was recommended to me and I just put it on while I was at the gym and listened to it. And it's interesting. Like I didn't know that each culture actually has their own kind of list of proverbs and things that they express that through deep philosophy. But yeah, I don't know, if anyone that needs help or needs, you know, inspiration or is going through it, like I empathize with that, because I think, especially in the creative field, like a second day feels like that.
I think the biggest thing is as well is like somebody gave me a good pointer about like music and how much it actually affects you on your day-to-day life. Like the music that you're listening to can affect your mood and especially like your mentality. You're listening to like a lot of like depressing music and stuff like that, you can get really depressed.
For sure.
So like, because you're talking about like chords and progressions that give off a certain like vibe to where you get put into a place of feeling, and then on top of that, lyrics that could then resemble parts of your life. That's why music is so powerful, because we put ourselves in like the artist's shoes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's been a big part of like how I write stuff, is like, yeah, it's about me and blah blah blah, that shit, the selfish stuff. Then also too, like, there's somebody out there that's probably like walked through similar shoes, and they're gonna like that's the big part of music, is you feel special because you listen to something and it's like niche. You're like, oh man, like this guy got, like, I don't know, like throw out a random thing, like this guy got punched in the face and like that's what happened to me, you know what I mean? And it's like, and then that becomes their song, like, you know what I mean? Because I feel like it's such a niche thing, you know. And I sprinkle all that shit through all my music, because it's shit that happened to me, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can only talk through my shoes and my experiences.
I always compare music to a drug. Like, there are just feelings that are evoked through sound waves that change the way you feel, and there's no, like, it's a drug through sound. It's crazy. Like, when you're listening to a very heavy rock song and you just want to lift some weights, and like that's a drug. Like, there's an effect to that. There's a real change in your body and your psychology. And I pay very close attention to what I listen to nowadays. I think and I've also become more open-minded to exploring different kinds of music. I think for a very long time I was like, I like what I like, and like that's it. But I found beauty, man, in like 60s rock and country music. Like, I never would have listened to country music like 3 years ago. But now I'm like, fuck, man, this shit goes hard.
You'd be surprised like what a lot of the greatest musicians listen to. Like, for me, like, as a producer, especially working with some of like the greatest producers like out here in Australia right now, you'd be surprised like conversations that we just have in the room, like while creating rap, like or any other genre for that sake. It's like, we might have this rap section and we're like, yo, fucking let's put some Jersey here, and then this breakdown, and it's like, all right, now this is turning into Afro swing, and then because it's a rapper on top of it, they throw that in like the rapper box. It's kind of like what happened to Tyler, the Creator, with like his album where they called it like urban, or I think they just threw it into rap when it was like this whole, it wasn't rap. That was like so like Igor.
He's another exceptional producer, very underrated as a producer.
I think he created his own fucking subgenre with whatever he was doing. I don't even know, like, just the vocals and things like that. It's such a unique way of like, I don't think I know. I can't list an artist that I've heard do shit
like the
that.
closest you'd get are his collaborators, right? Like Vince Staples, maybe.
Right.
And I mean, he has, again, such a weird category of rap, like where he really just stands on his own. There's no one.
Have you heard about the Gosford Glyphs?
What's the Gosford Glyphs?
It's like in Gosford in Australia, where they've got hieroglyphs, like,
really?
Yeah, like Egyptian hieroglyphs. Right?
Egyptian hieroglyphs.
Yeah, Egyptian hieroglyphs. Yeah, in Gosford, And I'm on the fence with it. Like, there's some really good like stuff that like points that it could be real, but then there's also like there's fair points here and there on both sides. The stuff that I'm leaning towards is like where it might be real, because like there's actual like Egyptologists and stuff like that have like studied parts of it and or whatever, broken it down. And they basically, like, there was one symbol that was on there that wasn't in the ancient Egypt dictionary for a very long time, and it was only added like I think the past 3 years or something. And the argument is that it was like some World War I veteran that came back from Egypt and did it because he was such a fan of whatever. But if that was the case and he knew that, how like would he have like taken this like symbol that like was only just deciphered recently? Like,
there's no way.
No. And plus as well, like they also brought up good points about like the boomerang with the Aboriginals, that in Egypt they've got a similar weapon, but translated is foreigners' weapon, which is interesting. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of like shit. It's crazy when you look at it. It looks crazy, and
But everything looks crazy when you first look at it. Like nothing. Wi-Fi doesn't make sense. You know,
Yeah.
like imagine if our society got wiped out,
Yeah.
and then we get uncovered 20,000 years later,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, they didn't store any books or anything, and it's like,
Have a look at it.
I will
Search up Gosford glyphs.
hieroglyphs. I'll include a photo now for the people listening.
Because like once you see it, then you'll have a bit more of an opinion, maybe.
Oh, whoa!
That's what I'm saying. It's not no amateur
Dude,
shit.
that's not.
But as well as like they say like it was because like basically what they depict, like when they translated it, these two guys from Egypt, they said that a boat capsized of ancient Egyptians, and half of them died or something, and then like some of them survived, and that was like what they put there. There's also another story where they broke it down, and there was some Egyptian prince or something that got bitten by a snake or something and died out here. But that wasn't the part that they deciphered. I was like focused on like the legitimate looking stuff, which was what they did.
You know, I think our perception of human history is completely off. I think we are like really off. There's like a very compelling case for the fact that human civilization was a lot more advanced than what we give them credit for. Because I say it at around 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, we were just hunter-gatherers. But it looks more realistic that we were actually a lot more advanced, and that there might have been an apocalyptic level type of destruction of the earth.
Well, like for instance, there's like, you know how the debate like about how the pyramids, how they were built, you know, how like historians and stuff have like struggled to find tools and stuff like that, so they're just like, oh, it must have been something else, either slaves, aliens, and things like that they make up. There's this guy on YouTube that's actually like shown like 14, 15 different ways of like how just himself has been able to move like bricks that size, like the sandstone stuff, by himself. And there's also like stuff in history.
Yeah, but that's within the confines of the engineering and the intelligence and just the mass consensus understanding of physics and labor and...
Well, he just used wood.
Right, okay, but it's not necessarily the materials that he's using. It's the fact that he has the database of information to do that. If we are like just hybrids barely figuring out which berries are poisonous or not, I find it hard to believe that we had like levels of engineering.
Well, I mean, when you think about how long we've been on the planet as well, you would think that like, you know, for instance, like the boomerang, like we're saying, like how did a guy like figure out like to make that, throw it? So there would have been like something like that in Egypt, where they're just like, they've just tried stuff out. Some guy's foot got stuck under a brick, and they're like, oh, well, that doesn't work. Yeah. You know, like, and they just kept trying it. Because I mean, that's human nature, right? Of course. It's like we fail, we keep going. And I think like, I don't know really. Like, I mean, I wasn't there. So like, you know,
I'd love to go and see it.
I mean, that would be crazy.
Like if I had a time machine.
If I had a time machine, man.
Could only visit one place.
If we only have, oh man, I don't even know what I would do, to be honest. There's a million things. So many people say I'd go back and kill Hitler. But it's like, I don't know, what else would replace him? You know? Because like, I don't know. What would you, I don't know, where would you come back? If I was to go back in history, it would be just to like hang out with somebody, I think. I'd try to keep it like nonchalant.
Who's your hang with?
I don't know. Maybe like Abe Lincoln or something. Like,
that'd be tight.
Just smoke up a bit of bud with Abe, you know, or something like that. Or I don't know, so many like maybe like Sitting Bull or something like that. I think Sitting Bull would be kind of cool. Like
Sitting Bull?
Native American chief.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody like that. Like somebody that, I don't know, somebody with like a lot of wisdom. I think would be dope. Like to get some like insight and to be there in like history, I think would be kind of cool. Like to sit with such like a historical figure, like somebody who like went to like battles and things like that. Like Sitting Bull, crazy man. Like,
The wild thing about those times as well is that I could imagine being with an Egyptian pharaoh. I think that would be sick.
I feel like you probably get turned into a slave
You
straight
would-
away or something.
No, yeah, that's
What
a
is
good
your
point.
knowledge about history, and then fucking thrown into slavery?
Well, he'd see me come out of the time machine and be like, "The gods are here." you
Yeah,
know?
true. Maybe that's what they were writing
Freak him
about. It's
out.
actually you figured out time.
All I need is one drone, and I'd be their god. But I think
Go there
I think
with an iPhone,
yeah,
freak them out,
dude.
take their picture. They went, "Oh, what the hell?"
I think it would be really cool to see, firstly, what their standard of living was actually like. Like, how good was, being top of the world 4,000 years ago, but also seeing what kind of influence and power one human being can have, where you've got thousands of people that are willing to build pyramids in your name. That is a level of just control over society that I couldn't even imagine. You'd never see that today. Listen, as much as crazy as his supporters are, and as much as they love him, no one's building Trump a pyramid, right? That's just people got shit to do. People are busy, but there is definitely something to be said about just that.
Are we getting a Biden pyramid?
It'd never get done.
No, Biden would forget what he's doing halfway through.
It ended up tipping over. It'd be like the leaning pyramid.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, because I've heard that with pharaohs and royal families in Egypt that there was a lot of incest as well. I don't know who it was. I think Tutankhamun or something like that, maybe the boy king or whatever. Apparently had I don't know, fact check this, but there was one boy king or something like that they called, and he had a extreme condition, really he didn't live very long because of incest. That's what people believe, which is crazy.
Well, I'm sure they had traditions and guidelines where you got to keep the bloodline royal.
Yeah,
You've got to keep. You can't be mixing in with these peasants. You can't be mixing in with the slaves. We have to stay as tight knit as a family as possible, as close as possible.
And
right?
then you end up like Sloth on the Goonies.
It's it's weird, and those are that's where civilization came from, and that's the world that we came from. It's 4,000 years isn't that long ago.
No.
And the way things have changed and evolved it's nuts.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It's
but
crazy.
there's also the whole reason I brought that conversation up to begin with is to say that as much as we as human beings, we like to be in control of our circumstances and everything. When you look up to the sky and you see thousands and thousands of stars, and I think this is something that our society has been missing for the last 50 or so years because of light pollution. But when you see the vastness of just space in the universe, and you look at that and go, a meteor could strike at any second and no one would even notice. No one on the universal scale would give a fuck because it's just so big and so vast. Have you seen the Kent Observatory?
Oh, that's the one here, right?
No, it's not. It's in Hawaii.
Oh, right.
So it's in Hawaii and it's built up on a mountain. So it's actually so high that you go past clouds, and the clarity of sky that you get there is insane. And Hawaii has this very strict light control rules specifically for this observatory.
Yeah.
And it's you just get to appreciate what we are. There is a emptiness to space that will freak you the fuck out.
I think the funniest thing that comes out of the doomsday stuff is the doomsday preppers.
Yeah.
Just I don't know what person would want to live after that. Cannibalism and shit. I just hope that rock hits my house. You know what I mean? If there's gonna be a rock that's gonna fly, I don't want to be there for all that. I'd rather go out with a bang.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I think of when I think of that stuff. But
I think we'd revert back to like very primal, very like let's say you're one of the 100 people that survives.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be much, kumbaya. I think it's quickly going to turn into a battle of the resources.
Yep.
And it's,
that's
you might
not there for that.
Yeah. There's 50 people. You're lucky if 3 of them speak English.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's like funny just how some people deduce like what is lucky and what's unlucky. Would it be lucky to die like that, or would it be luckier to survive? You know what I mean? Like to survive after a blast and then like deal with all that crap after and like die from somebody eating your leg off or something like that. Fuck that.
But hey, if you survive, I mean, you've got no choice now.
Maybe find a high place, jump off it.
No, I don't think you can, man. I think the human spirit just keeps fighting. It just keeps pushing.
I just
forward.
got like Book of Eli vibe.
It would be completely freaky. But I think it's something important that we do miss in today's society, seeing that openness and that vastness. I think there's definitely a spiritual kind of connection that you get from that when every night you're going to a campfire and you're looking up at the Milky Way. And you're navigating using the stars. You
know what's crazy about that is like that's light that you're seeing from like thousands of years ago.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's like not even like present light. You're like looking into history.
And I think there's just a connection with that human beings need. I think it's like fire, like it's like warmth. I think it does doing that inspires the soul in a way. And I think the fact that it's one of the biggest crimes of modern life is the fact that you can't see stars anymore.
So do you believe that the aliens in Mexico are real?
I want to.
I want to too, but I don't know. They're a little bit stiff to me. They're like somebody that's gone on like a fast for like a very long time, just like, you know what I mean?
But hey, if you're going from another galaxy to planet Earth, how fast do you have to be going?
Oh no, I'm saying like a fast, like fasting, like where you
yeah.
It looks like they just like starved themselves. It's just a skeleton.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
If you're spending this might have been the first prototype. Maybe this is the first ever, like this is the iPhone 1 of UFOs.
Yeah.
And they thought they could get all the way to Earth and then they couldn't and they starved.
Yeah.
In space travel. I mean, how fast do you have to go? What kind of impact does that have on biological life?
It's the new iPhone coming out shortly.
There's like the 15s now, the Tic Tacs and stuff they got going on.
Yeah. I think what's interesting about that is that they're mummies or something. I think they said that they're like 1,000 years old and they're actually like mummies. And like, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, apparently they're going to like transport they're going to like have other labs study them because apparently that's what they do in the scientific community is like they, like if one lab studies, it's not like good enough. They like a lot of the labs need to study them. So there's like, everybody's in agreement.
Yeah, like, it's a peer review process.
Yeah.
Like you don't just take the base results of what it is. And I mean,
I'd be interested.
I love South America, but like these scientific lab reports from Peru just ain't gonna cut it with me, man. Get me some German scientists on that. Like, show me what is that mass, what is in that thing.
I'd be mad curious to hear like if it's not alien, then what the fuck is it? If it is like indeed like real, like was it leprechauns or some shit? Like the fuck is it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if it is real, you know what I'm saying? Like
I want it to be real. The problem is I don't trust anyone with the information if it is real.
I mean, that's part of like the double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
Just the fact that like even it's like the Truman Show stuff. Like, you know, we accept the world that we live in, but there's also like sides of us that are like, is it real? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's just like little things, little nuggets throughout our life where it just like makes us question things. I think one of the weirdest shit that's happened to me is like where like, this is where like I don't know what the fuck I saw, but when me and some friends were driving like one night and we're in the middle of the country and we're coming back from a shoot, my friend goes to us, yo, the clouds just turned off. And we're like, yo, what have you been smoking, dog? And like, dude, you need to pull over because you're driving, you know, like you might fucking kill us. And he's like, no, just watch. And we're just thinking he's a fucking like nut, you know what I'm saying? And both me and my other friend in the back seat are just there watching for like 10 minutes. And then like, sure enough, the clouds just fucking disappear. You see stars.
What?
Yeah, bro. I can't explain that shit. It's like that clip that I seen in New York where like the sky like changed color or whatever. Like, have you seen that one?
No,
where
I haven't.
The one in, I think it's New York or somewhere in America where like the sky like goes from like blue to then like nighttime. It's like trippy, yeah. But in this case, it was like clouds that just disappeared and we could see the stars. And it was like, what the fuck is that? Like, it was so weird. Like,
and was it just like for a brief second or like?
It was like, it would like turn on like the clouds. And that's what we just say. Like the clouds turned on and off. It just looked like it just was there and then it wasn't there. And it was like maybe like for 5 minutes and then it would just disappear again. And then we looked out our left and then it was like a full blood moon. And then one of my friends is, what if we just went through a fucking portal, dog? Where the fuck are we? Because we're in like the middle of the country, you know what I mean? There's like nothing, and there's nothing more that scares me than country towns in the middle of like the bush. Like people talk about the city all the time, but the country is fucking scary, man. Like being out there by yourself. So I've heard crazy stories, Min lights, all them things. Like if you know about the Min lights, is crazy. It's like the Aboriginal thing, like it's like these like orange orbs that like fly across the sky and like
here in Australia.
Yeah, in Australia. I know a friend who like said that he's seen.
Whoa!
What you look at?
Are these real?
The Min light?
Yeah.
Supposedly, I haven't seen it, but like. One of my friends said that he's seen it, and there's a lot of stories about like people that just go missing when they follow them, and yeah, nobody knows what they are.
It's aliens.
Aliens. I've heard that they're ancient Aboriginals that are like upset with how the land's being treated. That's what I heard from somebody, but that's just theory. Could be aliens. Could be, I don't know. Could be some fucking weird cult or some shit. For all we know, I have no clue. You know what I mean? But it's still weird shit. Like
100% is maybe it's Chinese drones.
Chinese drones. I don't know whether they'll make it over the ocean.
I mean, if they can light up like that, I mean, some of the drone tech they've got now must be insane. Right?
Yeah, I don't know much about. Like, I mean, obviously from a filmmaker standpoint, I know about like some of the drone stuff that we've got.
Well, if you've got military grade drones, that means you're putting pretty heavy ballistics on them. Yeah. Which means they've got to have some insane maneuvering capability because that's obviously a lot of weight.
But I think the first question would be like, what would like the Chinese government want with like random Australian citizens in the bush? You know, just like pick them up, just like some drunk guy coming home from like the pub. You know what I mean? Like, what information are they gathering from this guy other than like some random like stories that he's had? You know what I mean?
Maybe they just like Australians. Maybe they just want the hang.
Maybe. I mean, I think the worst people that the aliens could probably abduct would probably be like Australians, because they would just like be like they would not get like the answers that they would be after. No. Australians so vague.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where's all your facilities and government stuff? Oh, around the corner, mate. Like, you know,
just
like,
over there.
Yeah. Just waiting for a mate, you know, like that.
The aliens are looking for minnow for like 40 minutes. They're like, where the fuck is this minnow place?
Yeah. You just hear Eshe, bro, and it's like, what the fuck is that? Is that some code?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's funny.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, like, you know.
It's funny though, because everyone loves Australians.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like you never, like whenever you hear the Americans talk about Australia or the English talk about Australia, like they're kind of like, oh yeah, the Aussies, you know, like they kind of like they're carefree, kind of like, oh yeah, they're friends from over there.
Yeah. I think it's because Aussies kind of like laid back for the most part, but whenever I think about like Americans and the British, is just like the constant beef that they have like online. Because some of my friends, like, because I got friends in the States that like, one of my friends specifically, whenever I talk about like a friend that might be in the UK, it's like 1776, which is like the year of the revolution. It's just like, just to piss them off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just shit like
yeah.
that. Like, you know, some Americans are just like, fuck them tea drinking motherfuckers and shit like that. It's hilarious. Just some of the beef. And then, they'll talk about like crooked teeth and random shit like
and that goes across sport. That goes across culture. That goes across
it's
everything.
crazy, some of the beef that they got. I'm just like, damn, like, it's been like, what, 300 years now? Like, isn't it like something like that? 300, maybe 250? You guys gotta let
this shit go.
Yeah, like, time for an intervention, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's crazy how that happens, huh? Like, you've got to be a special kind of human being in 1776?
Yeah, 1776.
1776 to say, I'm going to go on this wooden ship to a land that some guy...
Oh, no, that was the revolution. That's when the revolution happened. So, like, they were already in America. Yeah, that's
I'm sorry, I'm not a big history buff, so dates don't resonate with me.
Neither am I, but when my friend always says it.
Right, it's referencing the revolution.
Referencing the revolution. But, I hear what you're saying. Like, it's crazy. Like, I mean, the same thing with... Did you ever find out what happened to Captain Cook?
No.
He got eaten by Hawaiians.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Most people don't know that. That's why I love like that there's still Captain Cook statues around, because I know what happened. People like talk about like tear it down.
Watch out, I'm Hawaiian.
I find it funny just how like the Hawaiians weren't taking his shit.
Yeah.
He came over there and just like, oh, he looks tasty. He just like ate that motherfucker.
So the Hawaiians are cannibals.
I have no idea. That's what I heard. Yeah.
They would have had to have been.
Yeah. I think it's like on Wikipedia or some shit, like what happened to him, but I had no clue.
I just assumed he like
it wasn't taught out here what happened to him. They say,
that should be embarrassing. Like the guy that discovered Australia got eaten by Hawaiians. Like, I
think it's fucking hilarious. I think that's one of the best things that I learned like after school.
Yeah,
it's just like finding out shit like that. Like, especially like
it's got to be the most Australian way to die.
If you want to call him Australian.
I mean, if you found the land.
I mean, there'll be some Aboriginals that have something to say. Bone to pick with you about that.
So you know what I mean. He essentially... Fuck, you put me in a corner here, haven't you?
I'm just saying. Like,
he didn't find the land, but essentially he came and revolutionized it. Is that fair?
I mean, it depends. It depends on like...
Well, what verbiage would you use?
I would say that like he just floated around and kind of just like landed here and was like, all right, we're here. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't really put anything on it because there's already people here. I mean, Columbus, when he went to America, he thought that he landed in India, and that's why I got the Indian Americans. That's why they're called Indian. You know, because dumbass so-called like thought that he fucking knew where he was. Actually didn't. But I think it's interesting. Like, people talk about like what ifs and stuff like that. I don't think we can really like say what ifs, because I think, you know, we're here now. We can't like change the past. It is what it is, kind of like, you know, like let's just try and like find the best like ways of moving forward and like coming together as people, rather than like trying to like be like, oh, you and things like that, because like it just divides us even further. You know what I mean? Like, as people, we gotta like try and like, you know, like live in this shithole together, and it makes it harder when we all like... Sorry, my phone's like blowing up like crazy. What was I saying? Yeah, we gotta live. Yeah, we gotta live. Gotta live in this shithole, man. And it's like sucks on this earth sometimes. Raising taxes and shit, fucking cost of living and shit. Fuck holes.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I feel you. I think it's
$9 for a bag of chips is a fucking joke.
It's a joke. I have this thing where I'm like, it's Cristiano Ronaldo's fault that petrol's the price that it
Really?
is.
How so?
Well, because like
What'd
he
he do?
gets $100 million contract with Al Hilal, and I think he's at Al Hilal. I think that's right. And no, Al Nassr. He gets $100 million contract at Al Nassr per year, by the way. And then the price of petrol just skyrockets to $3 a litre. It's like 100%. They're just paying his wages because that's essentially where all the oil comes from. It's a joke. I don't know if that's correlation, causation, but yeah. One final question that I kind of want to leave this conversation on. Firstly, where can people find the music if they want to?
Oh, they can find it anywhere. I mean, they probably find it on the dark web if they're really that. if they're not trying to buy my shit, look, I can respect a good hustle. Like if somebody is like really not trying to spend $20 on an album, then like cool. Like you know, I know what it's like to struggle sometimes. Like especially like me, like I'm not trying to admit nothing on camera. Like me legally downloading shit, got to prove that. Government, but we all struggle, and I ain't saying that the first Lil Wayne tape that I had was illegal, but but we all struggle, you feel me? So like and people say like, oh well, you still gotta buy music. Oh well, fuck it, whatever, it is what it is.
Are you just telling people don't buy the music?
I don't really care. Like if you can buy it, then cool, it supports me, I appreciate it. But if you're broke and you want to, like, are you really going to, like, choose my $20 album or some fucking ramen so you can eat tonight? Fucking choose the ramen, legally download my shit. I don't care.
That would be the best plug ever. That would be the best plug ever.
It's dumb, like, when people say, like you know what I mean? Like, buy my album and struggle to pay rent. Fuck that. Like, I don't care. Like, illegally stream my shit. You're still playing my shit. As long as you fucking, like, next time I see you fucking quote lyrics at me, cool. Yeah. If you're actually a fan, like you go into backlinks.
The art above everything else. Above everything else.
And they're taking a risk themselves. If they get a fucking virus, then that's on them. You know what I mean? They get China that hacks into them.
They've got to be. They've got to be better at the illegal streaming game. I think they've LimeWire as well. Truly done.
Yeah. Pirate Bay's still around though.
Is it?
Yeah. Mirror links. I didn't know. I cut that out.
That ginger cop from Canberra just comes charging in. He's like, I got him.
No, I think they're waiting for me to say something.
And what advice would you give yourself?
Myself?
From like 5 years ago. You're looking back at your life 5 years from today.
Don't complain as much.
Right.
It's all right. Like, I think one of the best piece of advice that I've ever been given was like when I was going through some hard shit, and he was just like, it's gonna be all right, because when has it never been all right? You know what I mean? Because like, you get through the shit and you're like, damn, all right. There's always shit going on. Everybody, that's why like I give everybody a benefit of the doubt. I'm never really like trying to like be upset with anybody. Like if somebody treats me like shit, like, it depends on how they treat me like shit. If they're like, we can square up. But like, if they're for the most part, I can sense they're just having a bad day. They just snap. I'm just like, it's all right, calm down, blah, 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 and we can handle it. But if they're really stepping, then, we can handle that too. But yeah, like that for the most part, like it's just a bit of understanding that everybody's going through some shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like just a bit of patience, a bit of understanding, soft tone, soft voice, listening. That helps a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Aztec, I appreciate your time, man.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you having me on here. Let me cook up for random fucking conspiracy theories and stuff.
Sure.
Like,
it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been
we'll do
different.
it again soon.
Yeah, 100%, bro.